Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. God bless everyone. In today's video, I'm going to be showing us how to create this beautiful two-piece set step by step. So if you want to see how I did that, then definitely keep on watching. And please don't skip the video so you will not miss out on any of the important parts that I have to share with you guys. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to subscribe and join the family. We do all things sewing and makeup on this channel. Let's begin. So first of all, I have this fabric here with me. It is 3 yards of Ankara fabric, my ruler, my scissors, my tape, and my chalk. So my fabric is on fold. We are going to go ahead and cut out these prints from on top of the fabric because we don't need it in the blouse. So after doing that, we are going to mark out, first of all, our neck depth. So you are going to be going in with 3 by 3 inches. So that's what I'm going to be marking out, and then we are going to connect these points together. The next thing I'm going to be doing after this is to mark out our shoulder length. So I'm going to be dividing my shoulder length into 2. Mine was 15 inches, so I'll divide that into 2 and then I'll mark it out. So at that point that we just finished marking, we are going to be coming down by 1 inch. Okay, since our shoulder is not straight, so you're going to be making that slope at the shoulder. So just going to connect that point to the neckline. After doing that, we're going to be marking our shoulder to bust point. So mine is 10 inches, and I'm going to be marking that also on the opposite part of the fabric. Then we'll connect that point together. So I'm just labeling this line at this point. So after doing that, the next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark out the distance from the neckline to wherever I want it to stop. So that's the length of the blouse, and mine is 20 inches. So I'm just going to mark that out and then connect the points together. The next thing is to mark out the distance, the same thing that we had on our shoulder. We are going to marking it out on our bust point, and then we'll go up by 1 inch. So this is going to help save as our chest line. So we are going to connect that point directly on each other together like that. Then we are going to be marking this also outwards. You can decide to mark yours across the fabric, but this is how I do mine, so I will not be confused. So the next thing is to mark out our bust point. So I'm going to be dividing my bust. My bust is 34, so I'm going to be dividing that by 4, and then I'm going to be marking that out on the chest line and also on the bust line. So for the down part, for the length, I measured wherever it is that it stopped on my body, the 20 inches. I measured around that point, and I'm also dividing it by 4, and I'll mark it out there. So the next thing you're going to be doing is to connect these points together. After connecting that together, just go ahead and then add 1 inch as a sewing allowance. Either 1 inch or 1.5 inch, it depends on how much of an allowance you need. The next thing is to find the midpoint on our armhole depth. So right now I'm just going to be marking out at the center, and then from that point I'm going to be going in by 1/2 inch inwards. So this is going to form the basis for our front armhole. So I'm just going to be using my ruler and then connecting that dot directly back to the shoulder point. So the next thing you're going to be doing is to create a curve from that point directly to where you marked your bust point. Okay, that's on your chest line. So if you have a curved ruler, you can definitely make use of that so you will not make mistakes. So for the back line, where we marked the center is where we are going to start from, and we are going to connect it directly to the line that we just marked for the front also. Okay, still directly to our bust point on the chest line. So right now what we're going to be doing is to insert 1 inch sewing allowance or folding allowance on the lower parts of the blouse, and that's it. The next thing we're going to do is to go ahead and connect the lines, and then we will just cut it out. So right now at this point I'm just marking out the the neckline for the back. So you're going to be coming down by just 1 inch from the beginning of the fabric, and then we are going to connect it directly back to the shoulder point. So once you do this, you have your back neckline. So right now you're just going to be cutting this out. And once you're cutting this out, be sure to cut out only for the back piece first of all, because you're going to be using the front piece, okay, to cut out the back. So what you're doing now is cutting out only for the back piece, so I can be able to use this to cut it out in a separate fabric. So after cutting now, this is what it's looking like so far. So right now I've placed the front fabric onto another fabric, and then I'm going to be marking now. This is 1 inches here, which is going to serve as our zipper allowance. So I'm just going to be cutting this point open, and then we are going to be cutting out the back piece. So have it in mind that the fabric underneath is on fold also. Okay, so it's double. So after cutting that out, just take out the front piece, and this is our back piece. Simple and easy. So after doing that, the next thing you're going to be doing is to bring in our front piece and then cut out the excess that we had. Okay, just to bring in the front pieces complete. So right now, this is what we're going to be doing. And after that, we'll move over to marking out our skirt. So right now, I'm just going to be cutting out this labeling also from the skirt, since we do not need it. And then we are going to be marking 1/2 inch at the beginning. So now this 1/2 inch, since you're not going to be using a waistband on this 1/2 inch, this 1/2 inch is going to help when we are turning it over, if you're using a lining or if you're just going to be bending it. So you're just going to connect that lines together. So right now, you're going to be doing is to mark out the distance from that point directly to your hip line. So mine is 8 inches. I'm going to be marking that across, and then I'm going to be using my ruler to connect those lines together. The next thing I'm going to be doing is to mark out the length for the skirt. So mine is 24 inches, and that's what I'm marking out. So I'm going to mark this. I'm going to be marking this across on the opposite side also, and then we're going to be connecting these lines together. Sorry guys, I'm making mistakes since I don't even know what's wrong with me today. So on this case right now, you're not going to be inserting a dart. So what we're going to be doing is just to go ahead and then mark out our waist measurement. So waist measurement divided by 4, we're going to mark that out there. Then on the hip line, you're going to be measuring out our hip measurement divided by 4. We'll also mark it down. Then for the lower parts also, wherever the skirt stopped, you have to measure around that position. Then you try to see if you can walk in the circles, that is in the circle of your tape. So once you're comfortable with that, you pick the mark and then divide that by 4 and then mark it at that point. So what I'm going to be doing now is to connect those lines together. The next thing I'm going to be doing now is to include 1 inches as a seam allowance. So that's what I'm going to be including all around the skirt and also on the down part of the skirt. So after doing that, you're just going to go ahead and connect those lines together, and then you will cut it out. So right now, this is what the front piece is looking like, and we've also placed it on top of another folded fabric, which is going to serve as our back piece. So leaving out 1 inch, so 1.5 inches at the back, that's what you're going to be using as our zipper allowance. So at this point now, you're just going to be cutting or tracing all around the front piece. So you don't really need any other thing at the back except the zipper allowance. So we're just going to go ahead and then cut around this, and then we'll continue. For the sleeve, I have this fabric in front of me, and I've also folded it into 2. So what we're going to be doing is to be marking out the length of this fabric. So mine was 25 inches, and I'm just going to be cutting that out and then folding it over into 2 like this. So right now, you're going to be measuring from the shoulder directly to your elbow point, and then we'll mark that out and also mark it across and connect the lines together. So after doing that, I'm just going to be doing something that my mommy showed me when she was always sewing. So I learned this trick from her. I really don't know how to explain this. I just say just write the number 2 on this, and it will just form the slope. That was how I understood it though. But then after doing that, I'm just going to be connecting from that point slantly, like you see, directly to my elbow point. So before doing this, be sure to mark out to measure around your elbow and then divide it by 4 and mark it at that elbow point, okay, so that you will know how to follow the line. So right now I'm just going to be stopping at some inches below that point, and then I'm going to be giving it a triangular form. So we're going to be going over by 2 inches, moving up by 2 inches, and then we'll connect it directly to the tip of the hand. That is from the beginning. So right now at this point, just in case you're curious on how many inches I came down with, so mine is 4.5 inches. So right now I'm just going to be cutting this out, and then yeah, that is just it for the sleeve. So once you do this, your sleeves are ready. The next thing is for us to go ahead and then start putting the pieces together. So right now you're just going to be placing the back piece on top of the front piece, and then we are going to go ahead and then sew the shoulders down. So before we do that, we have to make sure that our neckline is definitely neat enough before we go ahead and do that. So since we're not going to be bending that, we're just going to be turning this using a different fabric, the same fabric though, but the pieces. I'm just going to place it like this, and then I'm going to be sewing around this point. So after sewing around that point, you just end up cutting that place out, okay, on the other fabric. You're going to cut out, so that once you turn it over like this, it will look much neater. So that's what I did, and you're also going to notch the lines together and do the same thing to the rest. So after doing that, this is what it's looking like so far, and this is my neckline for the front. So as you can see, I finished sewing this one all around, and I also notched around it. So the next thing that you're going to be doing is to sew down the shoulders. So at this point now, you're going to be sewing down the front and the back shoulders together, and this is how you're going to be doing it. So you're going to be opening the lining together like this, okay, and then you're going to be placing them right sides facing each other, and then you're going to begin from this point and then sew it using 1/2 inch directly to the other end. So this is going to help make the neckline very neat. So right now, after doing that on both sides, we're just going to go ahead and attach our sleeves to the shoulder, to the armhole. So after doing that, this is what it's looking like so far, and we're going to go ahead and insert our zip at the back. So for that, we're going to be folding this into 2. Okay, going to be placing this front and the 2 right sides together, and then we're going to be marking out the allowance we left for the zip. So after doing that, you're going to be coming down here by 4 inch. So at this 4 inch, I'm just going to be marking that out both on the opposite sides, and then I'm going to be inserting my zip. So before doing that, you're going to sew directly from that point, you sew it down to this 4 inches point that we marked here. So after that, you just insert our zip from the beginning down to that point that we stopped sewing. So after doing that, just go ahead and hem around your sleeves and also the ending parts of your blouse. So after doing that, we're just going to go ahead and then start sewing our skirt. So the same thing that we did to the neckline of the blouse is also the same thing that we're going to be doing to the skirt. So right now, I'm just placing it on the pieces, okay? There's no measurement for that, so you're just going to be placing it on the pieces, and then just sew it down using that 1/2 inch, so that once you turn it over, it will look something like this, okay? So you're going to place it on the right side, and then you sew it down. So once you turn it over, it will be seen on the inside. So after doing that, we're going to do the same thing also to the other 2 pieces, which is the back pieces also. So I'll finish doing this on mine. So at this point now, we are going to be marking out where our zip is going to be seated. So at this point, I'm just going to be marking it out here, and then I'm going to be sewing it down from that point directly to where our slit is going to start. So right now, after doing that, we're going to insert that zip. And after doing that, this is what it's looking like so far. So I've finished inserting the zip, and I've also folded around the slit. So for mine, the slit here was 8.5 inches, so that was what I used. So right now I'm going to be going ahead to close the side seams using the seam allowance that we inserted, and then we're also going to use 1/2 inch to fold down the ending parts of the skirt, and that is it. So guys, this is the final look of the two-piece, and I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Don't forget to give me a thumbs up on this video and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Bye bye guys.